I met Daniel on a rainy Wednesday, the kind of rain that drowns the city in silver and sorrow. I had just ducked into a small, secondhand bookstore to escape the downpour. The place smelled like old pages and forgotten dreams. The bell above the door chimed softly, and there he was standing in the poetry aisle, flipping through a tattered copy of Hemingway's A Movable Feast. I reached for the same book. Our fingers brushed. He looked up, smiled, and said, "You can have it, but only if you promise to read it slowly." That one sentence started everything. We talked for 2 hours over a lukewarm coffee in a nearby cafe. He told me about Paris, how he'd lived there for a year, writing poetry on napkins and falling in love with quiet mornings. I told him how bookstores made me feel safe, like I could disappear and still be found. "I think I just found you," he said, with a smile that felt like home. Daniel was unlike anyone I had met before. Gentle, attentive. He noticed the tiniest things, how I tapped my fingers when nervous, how I hummed Ella Fitzgerald under my breath, how I always ordered peppermint tea but never finished it. He made me feel seen. He left notes in my books, sometimes just a line, "You're the best plot twist of my life." He did leave flowers on my doorstep, always tulips my favorite. He remembered the day I told him about my father walking out instead of offering pity. He said, "You've been surviving storms your whole life. No wonder you carry thunder in your eyes." I didn't see fall fast. I felt like dusk turns to night slowly, softly, inevitably. After a year, he proposed. It wasn't tea extravagant. No flash mobs or champagne-soaked spectacles. Just us at home. A scratchy old jazz record spinning in the background. Him on one knee, hands shaking. He held out a simple gold ring and said, "You're the story I didn't know how to write until I met you." I said yes. Through tears and trembling laughter, we began planning the wedding, something I had never dreamed of until him. Cake tastings, florist visits, my Pinterest board overflowing with lace and lavender. He was present for it all, holding my hand, kissing my forehead, whispering, "We're almost there, love." My mother adored him. My friends were envious, not in the bitter way, but in the "you're so lucky" kind of way. My best friend once said, "He looks at you like he's afraid to blink." But a week before the wedding, something shifted. He was still physically present, still slept next to me, still smiled. But something was off, like a painting that had been subtly altered, just enough to disturb, not enough to accuse. I chalked it up to nerves. Cold feet. The pressure. The finality. Then the day before the wedding, he left early in the morning, saying he had to pick up his suit. He kissed me for it always and said back soon. He never came back. That day stretched endlessly. I called, texted, nothing. His phone went straight to voicemail. His best man hadn't he seen him. His family assumed he was with me. By nightfall, I was pacing the apartment, heart pounding, whispering his name like a prayer and a curse. By morning, I knew. I didn't want to know, but I knew the wedding was canceled. I did it myself. Called the vendors, the venue, the guests. I'm sorry I told them all. It's not happening. The dress hung like a ghost in the corner of my bedroom. The ring burned a hole in my palm. People were kind at first. Messages poured in, offers to talk, to drink, to distract, but nothing helped. Because no one could answer the question that haunted me why. A week passed, then a message from a friend. Is this him? It was a wedding photo on the beach. Daniel in white linen smiling, kissing a woman I'd never seen. The caption read, I married my soulmate today. Best day of my life. The post was from 3 days ago. 3 days. He disappeared. He had left me to marry someone else. The math didn't add up until it did. He had proposed to her 2 months before he proposed to me. He had been living 2 lives, 2 women, 2 futures, and I had been the one discarded, like a draft that didn't make the final edit. I screamed. I sobbed until I choked. I ripped every photo off the walls. I threw the Hemingway book into the street. I kept thinking, how could he kiss me goodnight and her in the morning? Therapy was slow. The first session I couldn't speak. Just sat there shaking. My therapist said you don't have to talk. Just breathe. Week after week, I returned not to heal. Not yet, but because the silence of my apartment was unbearable. Eventually, I started naming things. Betrayal, abandonment, shame. I learned how trauma disguises itself as self-blame. How love can be weaponized. How even the most attentive partner can lie, not just well, but completely. I packed everything that reminded me of him into a box. Letters, photos, the ring, the plans, the copy of Hemingway retrieved from the gutter, pages warped from rain. I drove to the same bookstore where we met, placed the book back on the shelf, left without a word. I moved, got a new job, adopted a dog, Poe, a beagle who hated men in hats and slept like a log. Some days I still dream about Daniel. Not the betrayal, but the bookstore, the jazz, the notes and margins. But I wake up and there's no ghost in my bed. No light in my kitchen. Just me, and that's enough. Now, every year on the day we're supposed to be married, I buy a book. I write the date inside the cover. I remind myself that stories don't always end where we want, but some endings are necessary. Some heartbreaks are released, and I don't write liars into my chapters anymore.